Taylor Swift sat cross-legged on the rug of their Kansas City living room, her guitar resting gently on her lap. The evening light filtered through the tall windows, painting warm golden stripes across the floor. It was one of those quiet nights when inspiration hit unexpectedly, and she decided to share it. She set her phone on the coffee table, angled perfectly for an Instagram Live, and smiled into the lens. "Hey guys," she said softly, waving as hearts and comments began to flood the screen. Within seconds, thousands of fans from every corner of the world were tuning in. "I've just been working on some new music and thought it might be nice to hang out," she continued, strumming a few casual chords. Questions started pouring in. About the new album, the wedding, how Travis was doing. "Travis is at practice," Taylor answered with a small laugh. "He'll be home soon. Wedding planning's going great, though. We're about 5 months out, and it's starting to feel really real." She began playing a gentle melody she'd been working on, her voice low and intimate. "I've been thinking a lot about family lately," she said, her eyes distant. "About what it means to build one with someone, to heal old wounds and start new traditions." The chat exploded with empathy, fans sharing their own stories of family, love, and pain. Taylor smiled as she read the flood of messages. These moments reminded her why she loved connecting with them, because for a few minutes it didn't feel like celebrity and audience. It felt like people just being human together. She didn't notice the sound of the front door opening, didn't see Travis step inside, his phone pressed to his ear, still in his practice clothes. But her 45,000 viewers did, and they heard his voice echo clearly from the hallway. Travis's voice carried easily across the quiet house. "Yeah, Mom, I know," he said, sounding distracted but serious. "I'm trying to find the right time, but it has to be perfect. I can't just spring this on her." Taylor's fingers froze on the strings. The soft hum of her guitar died instantly. The comment section exploded. "Is that Travis? OMG, he doesn't know she's live. What is he talking about?" Taylor's eyes darted toward the entryway, her heart suddenly racing. "I understand you're worried," Travis continued, still unaware that his voice was being broadcast to tens of thousands of people. "But I need to handle this my way. She doesn't know anything yet, and I want to keep it that way until I figure out how to tell her." The color drained from Taylor's face. Her mind spun. What didn't she know? The comments were moving too fast to read, a blur of panic, confusion, and wild speculation. She reached for her phone to end the live, but her hands were shaking too much. Then came the words that made her stomach drop. "I just got home," Travis said into the phone. "I'll call you later after she's asleep and we can talk more about it. But please don't say anything to her, not yet. I need to be the one to tell her when the time is right." By the time he walked into the living room and hung up, Taylor was pale and speechless, the phone still streaming live to an audience now nearing 70,000. He froze when he saw her. And the phone. It only took him a few seconds to realize what had happened. "Are you—" he began, then stopped, his face shifting from confusion to dread. "Are you on Instagram Live right now?" Taylor nodded wordlessly. The comments were flying so fast she couldn't keep up. "He's hiding something." "Taylor, end the live." "It's already on Twitter." "Can you end the stream, please?" Travis asked quietly. Taylor tapped the screen. The feed cut off, leaving a heavy, suffocating silence behind. She set her guitar aside and stood, her voice trembling. "What haven't you told me?" Travis blinked, clearly thrown. "Taylor, it's not— You just told your mother you're keeping something from me," she said, her voice rising. "That you need to find the right time to tell me. And now 67,000 people heard it. So tell me, Travis, what is it?" Travis set his practice bag down slowly, his jaw tightening as if searching for the right words. "Taylor, please, just let me explain." "Then explain." She shot back, her voice trembling between anger and fear. "Because right now, my mind is going to the worst possible places. Are you sick? Is someone in your family sick? Are you—" She hesitated, her throat tight. "Having second thoughts about the wedding?" "No, God, no," Travis said immediately, stepping toward her. "It's nothing like that. Then what is it?" Taylor demanded, tears starting to pool in her eyes. Because you were just on the phone with your mother saying I don't know anything and that you had to find the right time to tell me. What are you keeping from me, Travis?" He raked a hand through his hair, sighing heavily. "It's complicated. Can we sit down?" "I don't want to sit down," she said, her voice cracking. "I want the truth." Travis looked at her for a long moment, the weight of what he was about to say hanging in the air like a storm about to break. "I've been talking to your dad," he said finally, the words quiet but sharp enough to cut through the tension. Taylor blinked, stunned. "You've been what?" "I've been talking to your dad." "To Scott, for the past 3 months." Taylor felt the floor tilt beneath her. "My dad? The same dad I barely speak to? The one who missed half my childhood because of his job? That dad?" "Yes," Travis said gently. "Taylor, I know your relationship with him is complicated. I know he hurt you, but I've seen how much that distance still hurts you. I've seen you cry about it. So you decided to go behind my back?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I didn't go behind your back," Travis said quickly. "I was trying to help. You're about to get married, Taylor, and I thought he should be there. I thought maybe, deep down, you'd want him to be." Taylor stared at him, disbelief clouding her face. "You thought you knew better than me? You thought it was okay to have secret phone calls with my father without telling me? I thought it was okay to try to fix something that was breaking your heart," Travis said softly. "Because I know you'd never make the first move. And he's too stubborn to make it either. So, I did." Taylor sank slowly onto the couch, her body heavy with emotion. "You called him," she whispered. "You actually called him?" Travis nodded. 2 months ago, at first he was defensive, angry even. But I kept calling. Once a week. And little by little he started opening up." She looked up at him, her voice barely above a whisper. "What did he say?" Travis took a slow breath, his eyes softening as he sat beside her. Close enough to be near, but not so close that she felt cornered. "At first he said what you'd expect," Travis began quietly. "He told me if you wanted him at the wedding, you'd ask yourself. That you'd made your choice years ago. Career over family. That he tried to be there, but you pushed him away." Taylor flinched, the words cutting even though she knew they were second-hand. There was truth in them, painful and imperfect. She had chosen distance, but only because every time she tried to bridge it, he made her feel like a headline instead of a daughter. "So, that's it?" she asked softly. "You called, he said no, and that's what you've been hiding from me?" Travis shook his head. "No, that's where it started." He reached for his phone, unlocking it and scrolling through his messages. "I didn't give up after that call. I kept reaching out, every week." Slowly, he stopped being defensive. He started talking, admitting things. He handed her the phone. "Here, read them." Taylor hesitated, then took it. The screen showed months of conversations. Text bubbles full of warmth and tentative honesty. Travis sharing photos of her, stories from their life together, details about the wedding. Her father replying, little by little, with words she'd never imagined he'd say. He'd written about his regrets, about the interviews he still watched, the songs that made him proud, the scrapbook he kept but never showed anyone. Messages full of guilt and longing and love that had been buried for too long. Taylor's eyes blurred with tears as she read one of the last messages. "Scott, do you really think she'd even want me there after everything? Travis, I think she wants that more than she knows. She's just scared to admit it. Scott, I would never hurt her again. I just need a chance to prove that." Her lips trembled as she handed the phone back. "You were talking to my mom tonight about how to tell me?" Travis nodded. "He wants to meet, to try to fix things before the wedding. But I didn't want to just spring it on you. I needed the right moment." Taylor gave a shaky laugh that wasn't really a laugh at all. "And instead, 67,000 people heard you first." "Yeah," Travis said, grimacing. "Not my best plan." She looked down at her hands. "I should be furious," she whispered. "You went behind my back. You made decisions about my family without me." She paused, her voice breaking. "But you also gave me something I didn't know I needed. A chance to try again." Travis reached out, taking her hand gently. "You don't owe him forgiveness, Tay. I just wanted to give you the choice." For a long time, neither of them spoke. The room was quiet except for Taylor's soft, uneven breaths. Finally, she looked up, tears glistening. "Then I want to call him. Right now." Taylor sat on the edge of the couch, her phone trembling slightly in her hands. Notifications were still buzzing. Messages from friends, headlines forming, fans speculating, but none of it mattered now. Only one name on the screen did. Travis pulled up her father's contact and handed her the phone. "He'll answer," he said quietly. "He's been waiting for this." Taylor hesitated. "What if he doesn't?" "He will," Travis said with certainty. She took a deep breath and pressed the call button. The phone rang once, twice, and then, "Travis?" came the voice on the other end. Older, weary, hesitant, Taylor swallowed hard. "No, Dad, it's me." There was a sharp inhale, the kind that catches between shock and emotion. "Taylor, sweetheart, is that really you?" Tears welled up before she could stop them. "Yeah, it's me. Travis told me about your conversations, about everything you've been saying." "Oh, God," Scott said, his voice cracking. "Baby girl, I'm so sorry. For all of it. For not being there when you needed me. For making you feel like your achievements mattered more than you did. For saying good job when what I should have said was, 'I love you.'" Taylor's lips trembled. The years of hurt, of silence, of pride, they all collapsed at once. "Dad," she sobbed, "I've missed you." "I've missed you too," he said, crying openly now. "And I've watched everything you've done with so much pride, Taylor. I just didn't know how to reach out without making things worse." Travis wrapped his arm gently around her shoulders as Taylor and her father talked. For minutes, then an hour. They revisited old wounds, shared apologies, laughed between tears. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. When they finally hung up, Taylor sat in silence, wiping her eyes. "We're having dinner," she said softly. "Friday night. He's flying in from Pennsylvania." Travis smiled, relief washing over his face. "That's amazing, babe." Taylor looked at him, eyes still red but shining with something new. "I'm still mad at you," she said, voice trembling between exhaustion and love. "But thank you. For caring enough to fix something I'd given up on." Travis pulled her close. "I'd risk you being mad at me 100 times over if it meant seeing you heal like that." Later that night, the house was quiet again, except for the faint buzz of Taylor's phone lighting up with endless notifications. Her name was trending. Hashtags were multiplying. People all over the world were speculating about what Travis had been hiding. Taylor stared at the screen, exhaling slowly. "My phone's blowing up," she said. "Everyone wants to know what happened." Travis looked at her gently. "What do you want to do?" She thought for a long moment. Then, with a deep breath, she opened Instagram. Her fingers hovered over the screen before she started typing. "Hey, everyone. I know tonight's live ended abruptly, and you all heard something that probably sounded concerning. I want to clarify. Travis wasn't hiding anything bad. He was doing something incredibly kind and thoughtful, something that I'll share more about when the time is right. Sometimes the people who love us try to help heal old wounds, and that's what was happening. Everything is more than okay. Everything is perfect." She handed the phone to Travis. "What do you think?" He read it, smiled softly, and nodded. "Perfect." Taylor hit post. Within seconds, the comment section filled with relief, love, and admiration. The energy shifted from panic to celebration. A collective sigh from the millions who'd been watching, now realizing they'd just witnessed something raw and human unfold in real time. Taylor leaned her head against Travis's shoulder. "You know," she said quietly, "if you hadn't walked in during that live, if those 67,000 people hadn't heard you, I might have waited even longer to have that conversation." Travis chuckled. "So, you're saying you're glad I accidentally exposed our private life to the entire internet?" Taylor smiled through her tiredness. "I'm saying sometimes the universe forces the moments we need, even when they look like disasters." She turned her head slightly to meet his gaze. "And I'm saying that not all secrets are bad ones. Some are just surprises waiting to happen." He brushed a thumb across her cheek, his voice soft. "Then I'll take that kind of secret any day." They fell asleep that night wrapped in each other's arms, exhausted, relieved, and a little lighter than before. Part 7. The dinner Friday evening came faster than expected. Taylor sat in a quiet private room at a small Nashville restaurant, her hands folded on the table. The air was thick with nerves and hope. Travis reached over, threading his fingers through hers. "He'll show up," he said with quiet certainty. And then the door opened. Scott Swift stepped inside, eyes already glistening. The moment he saw his daughter, he stopped. Taylor stood, her chair scraping softly against the floor. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then both did. They met in the middle, arms around each other, holding on as if afraid the moment might vanish if they let go. It wasn't a perfect reunion. It didn't erase the past, but it was a beginning. Over dinner, they laughed, cried, filled in the empty spaces of the years they'd lost. And by the end of the night, when Scott asked softly, "May I walk you down the aisle?" Taylor's tears returned, but this time they were full of gratitude. "Yes," she said, her voice breaking. "I'd love that." Travis watched from across the table, his heart full. He didn't interrupt. He didn't need to. He just sat there quietly, knowing that sometimes love isn't about grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes it's about taking a risk, even one that could go horribly wrong, just to give someone you love a chance to heal. Because in the end, the secret Travis had kept wasn't one of deception, it was one of hope.